He might
That
as
is the
well just
most Canadian name
apologize.
ever. Here's the knife. I'll see you in court, fellas. I'm going to bed.
Yep, I'm going to bed. That piece of shit is down on the range. Here's the knife. I've sliced them up.
That's fantastic. My hat goes off to you, Mr. McDonald.
I think I just found my next tattoo.
Here's to you, Mr. McDonald. 60 years old.
60 years old.
And
Yeah.
I wonder if he could possibly still be alive.
Here, let's find out.
He'd be like 100, but.
Actually, they don't have. Let me see here. Oh, fuck the biography. I wonder about the death again. Where's that? No, they don't. No, his name is Matthew Gerard McDonald. I didn't see that
Even
word
better.
Matthew there.
Of course
Yeah,
it is.
that was his cellmate, by the way.
Yep, perfect. Absolutely perfect. There you go. That's you get the first Order of Canada when Eric Gord are Prime Minister. There's going to be a special honorary mention for great Canadians like yourself, Mr. McDonald. I'm proud to call you a Canadian.
He's down the range. The piece of shit is down the range. That's just awesome.
We're going to give you life in prison. Yeah, guess what? Got that.
I already got
Thanks.
it. I'm going to go stab some more people.
You can give that to someone else. I already got one. Thanks. What are you going to do?
So there you go. So that's our...
What are you going to do? Bring me back to life and make me do it again, fuckers? I love it. That's my new favorite guy. I'm glad I brought that up tonight just to talk to him. Hey, you mentioned the FLDS. That this guy is based his stuff on the FLDS, which obviously, of course, every religion that's insane and stupid has something to do with the Latter-day Saints.
Yeah.
The number one of the number one top trending selling things in Canada right now that we love to buy on Amazon.com is the Ancestry DNA kit. We're loving Ancestry DNA. We're spending millions on it. And guess who owns that, kids? The big old Ancestry factory in Utah that's all owned by the Mormon Church. So that's who's getting all your information, is these freaks. Don't buy these DNA kits. They take your information, they use it for nefarious Mormon things, and then they sell it to the fucking Chinese. Stop buying these things. They're evil. That's all they are. They're packaged evil. And they probably don't even tell you the truth about your family, and you don't look it up anyway. Oh, look, I was part of the Earl of Bruce. No, you don't know.
Hang on. I got some more on this guy. This is fucking quite fascinating. You ready for this shit? Before getting kicked out of the Seventh-day Adventists, Thorold had amassed a following by organizing detox seminars for people trying to quit smoking and drinking. He convinced some of them to quit their jobs and leave their families to live with him in the wilderness, dubbing them the Anthill Kids because of how hard he demanded they work. And when I say demanded, listen to this. I mean, he forced them to break their own legs with sledgehammers if they refused. Wow.
Let me tell you one thing right off the bat, everybody. And you know what? This actually is happening to a friend of mine on a regular. If someone tells you, no, come live in the wilderness with me, it'll be better. It's never better. It's never a good thing. If anyone who's credible and knows what they're talking about has a penthouse somewhere. Nobody lives in the wilderness who is not batshit crazy. That's just good advice. If anyone goes, hey, you got to quit your job and come live in the woods, I know the way. No, he knows no way other than to have sex with you and take what you own.
That's right. That's it.
Don't ever go into the woods with anyone, ever. Unless you're in like a scout troop. And even then, it's iffy.
Yeah, even then, you got to watch out for them fucking leaders. Hang on a second here. To give an idea of some of the shit this guy did to his followers, he nailed children to trees, made his followers eat their own feces, And when angered, that's not when he was mad.
No, that was on a good day.
That's on a good day, right? When angered, he'd strip them down and bat them, pluck their hairs out one by one, and many other forms of abuse. He refused to take anyone to a doctor instead of performing surgeries himself without anesthetic, which resulted in one woman's death from pulling out her intestines. He also killed children during a failed circumcision, and one more died after being left outside during a blizzard as punishment.
Wow. This guy's just got a winner all over. Man, Canadians are some sick fucks.
Wow.
A circumcision gone wrong. I've actually heard that's quite a dangerous operation, actually.
I wouldn't be all that surprised.
That's why they don't recommend it later in life.
Yeah, it's supposed to be extremely painful later in life and takes forever to heal.
And just the risk factor there, I think it's totally worth it because toques are gross. But I don't know if I'd do it. Luckily I don't have to. I don't have to face that evil thing. But yeah, it's bad for you. I know I have a family member who had to go for one later on in life, and his doctor actually talked him out of it. But he thought it was like healthier to have it done. Which I totally think it is, because toques are gross. They got to be unhealthy.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with them.
Dude, I've got to read you some of these. Okay, guys, we're going to be in for a little bit of an interesting one because there's some fascinating shit here. There's a carny cult. In 1991, a traveling carny named William Alt found out that a couple of his co-workers were involved in a cult called Satan's Disciples, and he wanted in.
Name.
William Alt. The only problem was Mark Goodwin, Jimmy Pennick, and brothers Keith and David Lawrence didn't want him in their cult. Alt, not wanting to give up on being one of Satan's disciples, decided to blackmail the group with his knowledge that Pennick and Kenneth Lawrence had killed an 18-year-old boy earlier that year. Only it didn't actually work on the group. The 5 members of Satan's disciples drove Alt to a secluded area, told him to lie on a makeshift altar, then proceeded to mutilate and torture him. After tying and gagging him, the group invoked Satan before cutting an inverted cross into his body and killing him. They later cut off his head and hands and tried to burn them. When that failed, they dumped his body in a field.
Just dumped him in a field. Just like we do with our old couches and mattresses.
Right?
Idiots. That is just...
okay, what did this fucking nutty bitch do?
We can't burn his head. What do we do? I don't know. Let's get out of here. Leafs are playing. That's amazing.
Kind of boring. Some chick who found God decided to start one and did a bunch of... What the fuck's this bitch's name? Kashi Ashram in the 1970s. A New York housewife saw visions of Jesus, and 2 Hindu spirit guides gave her a new name and started her own religion. Majaya Sati Bhagavati.
God.
Yep. So she turned herself into a deity, telling followers the guru is greater than God.
Yeah, that's what we call a hin don't.
Right? Yeah, it's all boring. Let me see here. The River Fall cult. All started with the body of a 17-year-old sex worker, Doreen, was found outside of a high school. Her wrists were bound with fishing line, and she had been horrifically beaten and sexually assaulted. Originally, police thought it was one of her clients, but 1 year later, the body of another sex worker was found on a makeshift altar.
Wow.
Then another one showed up. A sex worker came forward fearing for her life, claiming that pimp Carl Drew and sex worker Rob Murphy, who is also somebody's girlfriend, were responsible for the murders. Part of a devil-worshipping prostitution ring.
Hey, where's Barry?
That's amazing. Hey, you know what? This is totally true. When I was very young, I'm thinking like grade 6, I believe I was, around there. There were some animal mutilations in my town of Kelowna, And people thought it was me and my friends that we had a weird cult, and we were mutilating
Really?
animals. That's pretty
Ooh.
good. That's a good thing to get accused of when you're 10.
Yeah, right.
Um,
That's just what you want.
I was not doing that.
Oh,
uh,
dude, this is a great one.
oh, fill me in. Hey, if you're in a cult in Canada and you want to talk about it, get in touch with us, Eric at ericgord.com. We would love to have a cult leader on the show with us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We
And no
will
judgments.
we will quote unquote promote you.
Happy to promote your cult. Just get in touch with me.
Which, speaking of which, in BC, there is a little Asian dude I saw on the bus who was reading a book saying how to start your own cult. He was reading a
cults for
book on the
dummies.
bus. Yeah, it was the best thing I've ever seen in my life. So here's one called the Superior Universal Alignment. Valentina de Andrada was the leader of a 1980s UFO cult called Superior Universal Alignment in the remote part of Brazil. She claimed to receive messages from extraterrestrials that God didn't exist. Rather, Jesus was an alien and he was going to send a spacecraft to save true believers from the end times.
And yeah, we're going to talk about him a little bit later on in the show.
Okay. However, her prophetic beliefs came with one caveat.
Caveat, yeah.
Caveat? Okay. All boys born under 1981 were possessed by devil and had to be purged.
Oh, of course, yeah.
At first, the person simply demanded that some couples turn their children over to other couples, grandparents, or other guardians, so they qualify to leave on their spaceship. However, that didn't turn out to be enough, and things became violent. Between 1989 and 93, members of the group were believed to have been sexually assaulted, mutilated, or killed at least 19 boys between 8 and 13 years old.
Oh, my good
6
God.
of them died, 5 were never found, while the rest escaped. Though some have been drugged and mutilated, including castration.
Well,
Took 11 years for
Brazilian.
Brazilian. Well, yeah, of course, right? Took 11 years for Brazilian police to gather enough evidence to bring the guy to trial, along with 4 male members of her cult, many of whom were prominent citizens of the remote Amazonian community.
Yeah. Tip number 2. That person who tells you they're going to take you into the wilderness and make everything better, if that's a woman, run like hell.
Jesus, listen to this, man. While all 4 right? While all 4 of the men connected to the boys' murders were sentenced to decades in prison, DeAndre, whatever the fuck, was acquitted of all charges because she wasn't in the area when the crimes were committed. And weirdly enough, the Superior Universal Alignment still has an active presence online.
Really?
How about that?
Oh, we are definitely joining up, getting involved with them this summer. Superior Universal Alignment.
Yeah,
I would think that was a chiropractic group.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought too. That's what it sounds like. Superior Universal Alignment. It sounds like something I would want to sign up for to crack a back or something.
That's either your back or your front end steering.
Yeah, it's one of the two.
Maybe all 3.
Here's another nice one. Marcus Wesson. You ever remember that name? I remember this name.
I do remember that name.
The Vampire King. In 2004, 57-year-old Marcus Wesson stepped out of his house in Fresno, covered in blood, and police knew that something had gone terribly wrong.
Well,
what was your first clue? The fact that he walked out or the blood? I don't know.
That's some killer detective work there, fellas. You saw the naked kid covered in blood, and you thought, hey, something's awry.
Something's off on that. I can't put my finger on
peculiar.
It. That's off. Right?
Maybe we should look into that.
Piled in the back of the house were the bodies of 9 of his kids and grandkids, surrounded by antique coffins.
That's just something special.
He cultivated and controlled an incestuous family of followers through manipulation and physical abuse.
Isn't it always weird white dudes, too? Did you know? Have you noticed
Not this dude. This is a black guy with fucking dreads. Yeah. I'm assuming, anyways. That's what it looks like. Yeah, according to the picture. Yeah, that's him.
No, wow, good on you.
Funny, yeah.
It's an equal opportunity employment.
Yeah, right.
Cold leading.